today we're diving into some seriously old school wisdom, looking at leadership through a lens that's, about 2,000 years old. We're digging into ancient Chinese philosophy to uncover some truths that are, you'll see, surprisingly on point for right now.
So, what does it really take to rule an empire? Or, let's bring it to today, what does it take to run a company or lead a team? Well, ancient Chinese thinkers had a pretty clear answer, and trust me, it wasn't just about having all the power. It was about something deeper, a profound, almost sacred sense of duty. And that sense of duty, it all came from this core concept, the mandate of heaven. Now, this wasn't just some slogan to justify being in charge, it was the entire philosophical basis for a leader's right to lead. Think of it like a cosmic job description. Your authority isn't a personal right, it's a sacred trust. I mean, just listen to this quote from the legendary Emperor Yao to the guy taking over. Notice the tone here. This isn't a congrats on the promotion message. It's a heavy, heavy warning. Power is ordained by heaven, and the main instruction is to hold to the middle way. Stay balanced, be just. The message is pretty clear. If you mess this up, heaven can take it all back. And this sense of responsibility went deep. I mean, really deep. This is a statement from another ruler, Tang, and it's just, wow. It's radical accountability. He's not blaming his staff or bad luck. He's literally saying that if the whole nation messes up, the guilt belongs to him and him alone. And what does that all boil down to? This. The buck stops here. Thousands of years before this became a famous phrase in the West, these leaders got it. When you're in charge, the ultimate responsibility, that's the price you pay for power. Okay, so if your authority is basically a sacred trust, how do you actually govern well enough to keep that mandate? Well, the philosophy doesn't just stay up in the clouds. It translates this big principle into a surprisingly practical blueprint for action. And the focus was incredibly grounded. It wasn't about building giant monuments or waging glorious wars. What mattered most? The well-being of the average person, making sure they had enough food, and, importantly, keeping the cultural and spiritual glue of society together. So, in short, it's all about stability, food, and social harmony. And here we get this super clear cause and effect relationship between a leader's character and their actual success. It's like a formula, isn't it? Be tolerant and you'll win over the people. Be trustworthy and you'll be given more responsibility. Be quick and efficient, you'll get results. Be impartial and people will be happy. The message is simple. Your personal virtue isn't some separate thing from your leadership, it's the engine that drives it. So let's go even deeper now. We're moving from the big policies to the specific character traits a leader really has to cultivate. And this next part, it comes from a direct dialogue with Confucius himself, where he lays out 5 excellent practices. So if you want to be involved in government, how many absolutely essential virtues did the great sage identify? Well, according to Confucius, the magic number to remember is 5. And here they are. And they almost sound like riddles, don't they? Be generous, but without it costing you anything. Work people hard, but make sure they don't complain. Have desires, but don't be greedy. They seem kind of paradoxical. So what on earth do they actually mean in practice? Let's just take that first one, generous without cost. This is so smart. This isn't about giving handouts from the treasury. It's about being wise enough to help people use what already benefits them, their own skills, their local resources. You're basically creating the conditions for their success, which costs you nothing but insight and wisdom. But of course, for every virtue, there's always a dark side, a corresponding vice. So now we've got to flip the coin over and look at the 4 wicked practices that Confucius warned would absolutely destroy a leader's legitimacy. Yep. Just as there were 5 virtues to embrace, Confucius was just as clear about the traps. There are 4 key wicked practices that any good leader has to avoid, like the plague. And right here, you can see the razor-thin line between excellence and wickedness. The excellent practice is to work others hard without their complaining. How? By giving them tasks they can actually handle. The wicked practice is being tyrannical, just expecting results out of the blue with no warning or prep. One is strategic leadership, the other is a pure abuse of power. What's so crucial here is that all 4 of these vices really come from the same place, a lack of foresight and a lack of respect. Cruelty is punishing without even trying to teach. Tyranny is demanding the impossible. Being injurious is blaming others for your bad planning. And being officious is just being petty and stingy when you should be generous. Every single one is a failure of character that just chips away at trust. So we've covered the mandate, the policies, the good habits, the bad habits. But Confucius argued that before you can even practice any of this stuff, you have to build an internal foundation. So what's the absolute bedrock of leadership? And this right here is the core teaching. It's not about what you do, it's about what you understand. Without grasping your place in the world, the rules of society, and the power of communication, you simply cannot become what Confucius calls a true gentleman, or what we'd call a true leader. And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway, a three-part foundation for leadership. First, understand destiny. Know your role and the bigger forces at play. Second, understand the rights. Get the culture, the social rules that hold everything together. And third, understand words. Communicate clearly and learn how to accurately judge what people really mean. This, according to the ancients, is the true source of a leader's strength. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We've just walked through some powerful ideas on accountability and character that have lasted for millennia. So in our own fast-paced, constantly changing world, which of these ancient ideas do you think matters most for leaders today? Thanks for tuning in.